I believe that the best products truly do come out of your own need to solve a problem.
This episode takes us to SHEFIT, a rapidly growing fitness company that is disrupting the sports bra market to offer what they call radical support to all women.
I'm Emily Raquette, and you're watching Amplify.
I really never had any intentions of starting a company. Back when I was just trying to solve my own problem, that's all I was doing. And sometimes I believe that the best products truly do come out of your own need to solve a problem, right? And so that's kind of how it all started. You know, I was birth of my first child. I was a very active athlete prior to that, and I was trying to stay in shape and do all the right things, and just, you know, my chest got out of control rather quickly, and I found myself wearing 2 and 3 bras at a time. And you know, I was a fitness model and very top of the fitness industry in terms of where I was competing at the time, and so I had access to and was trying all the best products I think on the market, and they still weren't meeting the mark for me. I mean, I was modifying them and just got to the point where I was like, okay, this just is crazy. Like, if I want to be able to do what I want to do, then I'm going to have to figure out how to do it on my own. And so that's kind of how it really all started.
Well, tell us about the first prototype that you made that eventually was inspiration for your famous SHEFIT bra now, but what was it at the time?
Literally, it's so funny. I call it like the it is a hodgepodge of just a bunch of crap, really. It's really funny. Like, I don't sew. Anybody who knows me knows I do not sew. I do not have a fashion background. I do not sew. I mean, I use literally a needle and thread and a hot glue gun. And was able to, what I was doing is I was pulling all the excess in the shoulder straps and the bust band and cutting it off or tying it off with like a rubber band. So I had these balls of fabric like underneath my clothes because I just was trying to get that right fit. And so what I did is I was able to take like the shoulder straps and the bra strap and cut off some Velcro and like needle and thread that on, hot fluid or whatever. And that's when I was able to determine that, oh my gosh, by doing that, I could like set my own fit. At least it started here. And then I thought, well, gosh, if it works here, then I know it'll work here. And so that's kind of how the prototype started. And it was just a tattered mess. I mean, it was nothing fancy. It was falling apart. I had to hand wash it. And so it was at that point when I decided to go to the fabric store and buy some like fabrics that I thought I wanted to use. And then I found a seamstress, and she kind of put me together my first like real prototype that I didn't really have to like delicately, you know, place and hand wash. And I actually was able to use something that was more, it wasn't just needle and thread and hot glue at that point.
Yeah, and then fast forward, you were getting some requests from friends, and people wanted them before you know it. You're like, I think we're onto something here, and you technically launched with a Kickstarter campaign, right?
Yeah, we did. It's funny because it wasn't, there was no intention of a business. It wasn't until my friends, I was chatting about what I was doing, and they were like, oh, I want to try one, or oh, I'd like one. And so I was like, oh, okay, you know, whatever. So I had the seamstress make me like 10 of them, and I passed them out. And like within, you know, a couple of weeks and a few months, people were calling me back, being, you know, and writing me and calling me and saying how awesome this is, and can they get another one? And that's when it was kind of like a light bulb went off. But the light bulb went off after I was like hit in the face and hit in the face and hit in the face every time I would leave the gym or leave my home. And you can even do it now. And I was just like, it was like flashing like signs on the women that were running that were just bouncing uncontrollably. It was like I noticed them every time, and that to me was like the moment when I was like, okay, maybe I'm not the only one who's struggling with this problem, and maybe if, you know, maybe there's other women who are looking or seeking the same type of solution that I was. We reached our goal within 7 days of the campaign, surpassed it, and then all of a sudden, you know, we were on the doctors, and then we were on Today's Show with Bobby's Buzz, and all of which we never had anticipated that to happen that quickly. And so we were doing very, very small runs, and we were consistently like out of product. You know, we'd have one, something happen and some type of, you know, light shed to the brand, and then all of a sudden we'd be out of product again. And then we'd be in the same situation just over and over and over. And that was really how the company started. And then, you know, Shark Tank came across our table, and that put us in a whole nother cyclical situation for probably the last 2 years. And we just like came out of it last year. And Shark Tank was, you know, 2.5 years ago. Yeah. So
4 years from your Kickstarter, now a university leads a study where they pit your brand SHEFIT against the leading fitness brands that we grew up wearing.
Yeah, still do. Like, everybody is still wearing those, right? Like,
the household names, and SHEFIT came out on top.
Yeah, well, so what's really interesting about that, and what is really, really exciting about that, is I think we as women and as consumers are like dying for some type of change, especially in an industry that hasn't been in quite some time, and especially with a product that is the most functional aspect of what we need to be active. I mean, it's the first thing we put on before we put on our shoes. We really wanted to prove that we had a superior product, and so Central Michigan University is a huge university, does a lot of testing for a lot of other brands and other aspects of product, and we really wanted to set the benchmark high, and so we were able to take what another leading university does when it comes to breast movement and breast health, and we were able to take that benchmark and amplify it tenfold in terms of better equipment, better markers. And we did a study that we looked at our competitors in the market, and then we were able to determine through several different athletes, and not even athletes, women of all different calibers, athletes, non-athletes, you name it, A cup all the way through a triple D cup. We looked at all different elements of movement and exercise and moves, and we were able to determine that at the end of the day, after all this was done, that SHEFIT reduced bounce significantly by 33% in one particular activity. And across the board, we had superior results when it came to overall vertical displacement, which in layman's terms is reduction of bounce. I love this quote we got the other day from a consumer, and it says, "I didn't know I bounced until I didn't bounce anymore." So I love that, because I think sometimes like we feel like it's just as good as it's going to be, and we just have to like live with it, but we don't. SHEFIT is for women of all shapes and sizes. So there isn't one particular woman that we make the bra for. We make it for all women, and we don't really just say that. We actually do that. You pay the same price no matter what size the bra is for any of our sizes of bras, and that was really my mission from the start, was to make sure that when we made these bras, that the same style, the same price tag, the same everything came in all the same sizes for women from A through I cup, and that everything in between was catered to. It doesn't matter your shape, doesn't matter your size, it doesn't matter your athletic level. We really want to empower her to be able to feel her best so she can do her best.